Today I wanted to do a video kind of try to bring everybody up to date on how often you should change the oil in your car. You know, the baseline in our country, the USA, was set 20, 30 years ago when engine and oil engineering was much different than it is today. So here's my attempt to try to help you save money, save the environment, save on oil, because most of you are simply changing your oil way too often. Now, many of us know and understand that car engineering has changed dramatically, even though we still have combustion engines. Some cars have some hybrids of electric and fuel operation, but most of the newer cars today, the tolerance in the engines, the way they're manufactured, the way they're designed, they run much cleaner than cars did back in the 60s and 70s when oil changes every 3,000 miles was a standard. So here's the information on my 1995 model. Now, for my Volvo 850, my car is actually a 1995. The oil and filter change recommendations after 5,000 miles is every 5,000 for the 4 designations, every 10,000 miles if you don't have a 4 designation. So the 4 designation basically says this applies to turbo models. So if you have a turbocharged 850, the recommended oil change is every 5,000 miles. If you have a non-turbo Volvo 850, the recommended oil change is every 10,000 miles, unless you have some other extreme conditions, which few of us do. If you're driving 95% city mileage, I would say go to every 5,000. If you're driving 30% highway or 20% highway, you can stick to these recommended change intervals. Now, check the owner's manual for your vehicle to see how often you should be changing oil. A lot of times it depends on how large your oil sump is. Like my brother-in-law has a Jaguar XJ8. He's got like a 7-quart oil sump. Oil pan can hold that amount. His oil change recommendations is every 10,000. My sister's 95 Honda Accord recommended every 10,000. You know, so I really would tell you not to let these oil change places talk you into changing oil more frequently than that. Now, if you notice in some of the very new cars, they actually have a system built in the car that tells you when you should change the oil, when your oil gets down to 15%, 10%, and stuff like that. And basically what they've done is they've engineered a sensing system in the car that reads your driving style, your driving habits, and it'll let you know when the oil needs to be changed in your car. Now, raw motor oil doesn't really have a breakdown point. What does break down in the modern day oils that we use is what's called a additive package. If you look on most of these oil bottles, you know, you have premium conventional oil they call dyno, then you have partially synthetic, full synthetic, advanced synthetic. These oils have additives in them that wear down over time, over mileage. So in your newer cars, when your sensor is telling you that you have 15% oil life left, they're estimating that because of your driving style and habits, you have used 80% of the additive package in your oils. Now, in the owner's manual, which was a little bit before your actual driving habits, they have tested and they can tell how far you should be able to go before your additives are worn down to a level to where you need to change the oil. Now, if you want to go one step above and beyond the estimations, I would recommend you contacting a company that samples the oil out of your motor when you do an oil change. The company that I often use is called Blackstone Labs. You could go to their website, get one of these free kits. They mail them to you. Then when you change your oil, you take a portion of your oil out of the change. You use their instructions. You put it in this bottle. You ship it back to them, and they will test your oil to tell you what kind of condition your motor's in, what inside the motor is wearing out, and you can even request that they tell you how much additives are still left in your car motor. Now, when you decide to go the extra step and use maybe a full synthetic oil instead of your regular dyno oil, these oils and their additives packages are supposed to last longer than your standard motor oil. So, if my oil change recommendations is every 5,000 and I switch to a full synthetic oil, I'm using an oil that's supposed to last longer. So this oil may cost me 30% more, but it should also last 50% longer. So in the long run, I should be saving money by using a full synthetic oil, not to mention that it's supposed to be better for my mechanical parts of my motor. So I can be extending the life of my motor and saving money by not having to change oil so often. When I got the car that I have now, it had 188,000 miles on it, and the moment I started the motor, I knew the motor was in excellent, strong shape. I believe the person that owned and drove the car for several years before me was actually changing the oil at the old school rules, which was every 3,000 miles. They weren't using synthetic oil, but they was changing it very often. So, motor was nice and strong. I took the car, I immediately switched to full synthetic oil at 188,000 miles. My PVC system was in good shape, so I had no problems with oil leaks or anything like that. So I was changing the oil every 5,000. When I got to about 225,000 miles, so 35,000 miles into my ownership, I did a sample test. I sent it to Blackstone Labs, and they gave me kind of rave reviews of how clean my motor was running, how great a shape it should have been in for a car with that kind of mileage. They said they seen more particles in the oil than a car that actually had around 60 or 70,000 miles. Another thing that Blackstone Lab revealed to me upon my request, even though the oil that I sent them had 5,200 miles on it, they recommended, because of the additives still remaining in my oil, that I would not change my oil for every 8,000 miles. So they recommended me go 8,000 miles. They said I should still have additives left. So this time I'm actually traveled close to 10,000 miles, which is not the first time I've done this. So I'm gonna take another sample and send it to Blackstone Labs and get the results and see that that is a good baseline for my oil changes. Here's the current mileage on the vehicle, 259,890 miles. And here's the last mileage from the last oil change, which, as you can see, was just shy of 251,000 miles. So this oil change has been about 9,000 miles. So even though my owner's manual is recommending that I change oil every 5,000 miles, since I've switched to synthetic and I'm actually having my oil tested at the Blackstone laboratories, I could probably go 8,000 to 10,000 miles between oil changes, saving myself money on oil changes, saving the economy on recycling oil and the environment, and just, still keeping my motor in great shape. I also try to do a compression test every time I change my spark plugs. So I'll do a compression test soon and post those numbers. So to see the results of my oil sample from Blackstone Labs, look in the About comments below, click on that link, and go ahead and follow those test results when I get them back, which should be within 2 weeks. I'll also do a compression test and do the comparison from 205,000 miles to probably 265,000 miles and post those as well, so you can see what kind of wear I'm having on my piston rings, kind of thing. So thanks for watching. I want to encourage you to follow your owner's manual for your oil changes. Don't waste so much oil and money, and also if you can afford to, have your oil sampled so you'll know how far you can go between your oil changes. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.